With my camera, I can make anybody feel important, and I like that.
This is Patricia Lay-Dorsey, a.k.a. Grandma Techno. She's a Detroit-based photographer and artist, and one of the coolest ladies I've ever met.
For me, going to bed early is going to bed at 11.
So how did you get the name
Grandma Techno? Well, I started going to the Electronic Music Festival, Movement. By far, I was the oldest person there, but I fell in love with it. And so I just kept going back year after year. Well, by 2007, I guess I had sort of become known, and I wanted to go from one stage to another. And the kids kind of parted the ways, but this voice came from nowhere saying, "It's Grandma Techno, let her out." And everybody started yelling, "Grandma Techno, Grandma Techno." Anyway, that's how it started. One of my favorite things about being a photographer is that it gives me the opportunity to do something my parents would never let me do, and that is go up to strangers. I don't care that much about the pictures themselves. I mean, of course I like to have nice pictures, but that's not as much of a thing as the encounter. I love the encounter. I love the connection. Hi, how are you? Aren't you gorgeous?
Aren't you gorgeous?
Oh no, look at you in your colors. Ooh, I mean, really. Oh, you're so cute. I'm gonna put you at, can I put you at 4 too? I had a studio in Greektown and $50 a month. It was the upper floor of the old St. Mary's School from the 1865, but it had no heat, no electricity. And it was up in a balcony. But I started kind of hanging out on my fire escape. We did put a cord from the other floor, so I'd have a little light, and we had a little tiny space heater, so I had a little heat, but I'd be making art in my gloves and my hats and the whole thing. And saw a lot of homeless folks on the street there on the corner. And that was actually when I discovered what it felt like to be invisible. When I would sit with them on the sidewalk in Greektown, I became as invisible as they were. It was the most, it was really an eye-opener to see how that feels. If I stop and say, "Can I take your picture?" even if they're not comfortable with it and say no, they still know someone was interested in them and someone saw them.
Patricia doesn't really care who you are or where you came from. She'll love you anyway, despite having been through some tough times herself.
I was 45 when I was diagnosed with MS, so it was, emotionally strange. Just put it that way. Emotionally strange, and I had to it took me a long time to get my head around it. It was interesting because someone asked me, maybe a few weeks after I'd been diagnosed, did I have fears about it, and if I did, what was my greatest fear? And my greatest fear was being in a wheelchair. However, so I went from a cane, then a walker. So by the time I did get in a wheelchair, or wheels, it was the greatest gift. So it wasn't like it had been my fear, but she became my best friend, because then I could do whatever I wanted, and it's been like that ever since. And she doesn't have a name, but she literally is my best friend. And without her, I wouldn't be free like I am. I'm totally free.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with you.
Jeez, look at her go.
Have you ever broken a scooter from riding it too hard?
Yes.
Like just going.
The guy came recently because the brake had gotten broken. He said he'd never seen that happen. And so yeah, I use them like all off-road vehicles, and and it's my scooter gets more work than most.
If you want to see more of her scooter and her work and her photography, check her out on Instagram. And if you like this video and want to see more like it, check out my page.